Well, we are making progress. I don't know if we have all the pieces. I do think we have some guys that are more than capable of winning, and it's a matter of having enough of those guys. It's also, in my opinion, a matter of having the mentality of understanding what it takes to win, what do you have to do to win, how do you have to play to win. I mean, those things are things that we're trying to instill in our players so they understand, and I think that we are still teaching that, and hopefully our guys are still learning that.
Thanks.
Ron, you guys were not exceptionally deep at wide receiver going into the game. You took a couple of hits there. Can you give us maybe a state of the position there where you guys stand?
Well, I'll get more information from RV at my 11:30 meeting as to where we are with those guys, where we are with Sadiq. We'll find out more. Obviously, these guys are seeing the doctors right now, and so we'll get answers then.
Sorry, more broadly to the receivers, though, what do you do trying to cobble together, some viable options here for Sunday?
Well, you look at the guys you have on the practice squad, and you also look at the guys potentially on your emergency list, and you go from there and see what happens.
Hey, Ron, how much did Dustin's miss yesterday factor into the decision to go for 2? And then on a broader scale, he's missed kicks in 4 out of 6 games. Do you consider making a change there? What's your thought process overall?
Well, first of all, I'm not considering making a change. And my overall thought process was because we were on the road and it was inside of a minute left to go, I opted to go for 2. My philosophy is that we were down there. We were on the 2-yard line. I thought we had a good play call there. And then we go from there. And but in that situation, those circumstances, I think you go for 2. Because again, there was about half a minute left to go in the game. If we had succeeded on that, it would have been a great decision on my part, but we didn't. So some people think it's not a good decision. I just think you go for it because you're there.
Hey, Ron, Scott Abraham, ABC7. You've always had that aggressive style of going for a 4th down, 2-point conversion all the way back to your Carolina days. So I'm wondering, where does that come from? Where does that kind of philosophy, that aggressive coaching style, that riverboat Ron gambling mentality, how did you cultivate that over the years?
Well, that came about, I visited with John Madden in 2013. And one of the things we talked about was, trusting yourself, trusting your gut. He told me, we talked about it and just really it's something that, you think about, you get in certain situations. One thing it does is it tells your team that you believe in them, that you believe they're capable of those things. And 2 is you try to teach the mentality of learning how to win because you're playing to win. And so I think getting that mentality across to the players is important.
I don't think Sam is on the call, so I'm going to ask for him. But you talk about the mentality and the understanding of what it takes to win. Are there certain players that really stand out to you as having that already and kind of leading by example?
Absolutely. I think guys like Jonathan Allen, have that kind of mentality. They've been a big part of it and have had a lot of success in college. Chase Young is a guy, as young as he is, he wants to win in a very bad way. Brandon Scherf, watch the way he plays and the way he finishes plays. Morgan Moses. I mean, I can go down the list, but there's a lot of guys that have that mentality. And there's some guys that are learning. And some of it is a reflection of where they played their college ball and have it ingrained in them, when you're there and you're part of the culture, for 3 years and you get a good understanding of what it takes, it's a tremendous thing. And it's something that gets developed over a period of time, and you can see it and feel it in guys.
Darren, John, and Reed.
Hey, Coach, Darren Haynes, WSA. What do you tell your team? You have a young team, and from losing 5 straight, how do you keep your team, those young guys, motivated and encouraged to keep pushing forward despite the outcome of some of these games?
Well, mostly because of the situation in our division. The division isn't very good right now. And so there's opportunities. It's just a matter of us settling in and learning how to win. And that's the thing I constantly going to talk to them about is that, You got to come in, you got to practice hard, you got to work hard, you got to develop. The thing I like is just the fact that we have a lot of young guys that are playing right now, and this is their opportunity to learn and grow together. We haven't developed a team yet where you start incorporating young players. We have a group right now that has to grow and develop together so that when it's time to win, you start winning with this group of guys, and you can bring young guys and incorporate them into your culture. And that's what we're working on right now, is to develop that culture with this group of people.
Time.
Hey, Ron, one of the things when you have this mentality of going for it and being aggressive as you are over the years, are there times where you do look back, and not necessarily in this case, but look back and second guess that, or do you just say, hey, this is how I want to play, this is my mentality, and this is the way it's going to be, and you live with whatever?
Absolutely. Because when you start looking back and you start second guessing yourself, now you get into a situation where, oh, should I or shouldn't I? And sometimes, you freeze yourself. But to me, if the players know that that's what we're going to do and how we're going to play, now it starts taking, hold of who they are, that, hey guys, we're going to play to win. We got to put ourselves in position to win, so we can play to win. And I think that's what we're trying to get across to these guys.
And then also there's probably the number one question I get if I go on the radio, get from fans, is about, they wonder, is there mixed messaging here? And, you want to go for it here, and then they bring up, you'll get asked about timeouts. Do you feel that there's been a mixed message, or do you feel you've had a consistent message here?
No, I think my message has been consistent. I ain't worried about the timeout thing early in the year, guys. I explained that to you guys once before. I'm not going to have to explain it again. You guys know how I felt about what went on early. But where we are right now, and again, everything we're talking about is going forward. And that's the way I look at it.
Hey, Ron, you talked about the young guys and trying to build it so that they're playing together to eventually, get up with each other. How hard is it with a guy like a Sadiq Charles, who you guys have tried to give every opportunity to get into the mix, really play with these guys, or even Antonio Gandy Golden? You've given them every opportunity, but they're just those setbacks, those injuries. How difficult is it to incorporate guys when there's a constant setback with them?
It's very difficult, just because you see the promise. Sadiq played 2 plays, and you watch both those plays and you sit there and go, God, the guy's something else. I mean, he blocked their best pass rusher on the very first play. He went down the line and on a kick out block, was in great position to create a crease, and then, he hurts his leg. So you just sit there and go, wow, this kid has potential, but, every time something like this sets him back. And the same thing, with Antonio. And Antonio makes a move and the hamstring bites on him, and next thing you know, he's down, and we'll lose him for a few weeks. So it's tough, because you want to get these kids incorporated, get them working with the veterans that are there, so that they can be part of what we're trying to build going forward.
Ron, you were a player, and obviously you know what can happen when you have a series of injuries and just feeling like it's a constant stream of things. And how do you keep a guy from getting into, I want to say a dark place, but just getting really negative on himself? Every time I try to get out there, something happens. How do you just keep them sane and going? And
you're right. You don't want them to go to that dark place. You want them to go to a place where they sit there and go, hey, this is a setback. This is a challenge. But I just got to take it for what it is and just keep working hard, get myself back in it. We that are around them got to be there to support them. Say, hey, man, just keep working. We know what you can do. We know who you are. Just keep going. You'll be all right. We've got to be able to pass that message on to them.
Thank you, Ron.
All right, Eerie.
Hey, Ron, you've said in the past that it takes a player about 5,000 reps to, whether it's the offense or understanding a certain player concept. When it comes to the mentality, how do you kind of equate that? I mean, is it just through, you don't have to throw out a specific number, but I mean, is there a certain, and how do you do it with it being in close games? How do you kind of equate that reps to the mentality side of things?
Well, it's about your messaging. As a coach, you have to have a message in terms of that, that, hey guys, this is our mentality. This is what we do. This is what I believe in. I believe this is going to help us. We have to stick to this. This has got to become part of our mantra. And it is. I believe it is all about the messaging that you give them in terms of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish.
And when do you see that click in with them, or, when does it sort of become, I guess, obvious, or just you see that messaging is setting in?
Well, when they start repeating it and saying it to you guys, I think that's important. I really do, because when they start repeating some of the things that you say, then you know that they're on point. You know that they're hearing what you're saying. You know that they get it and they understand it.
Ron, I know you said you want to both develop players and change the culture and mindset while also trying to win now, especially in this division. At this point, after Sunday's loss, what do you ultimately want to get out of this season? What do you consider a success for this year?
Win as many games as we can. That's first thing. And then the second thing is that these guys can come, they can step away and say, wow, this is the culture that we're going to have. This is how we're going to have to do things. This is the way that we need to do things. This is our way. That to me is important.
We'll take 3 more, Parrish, Ben, and Russell. Matt, you're muted.
All right. Hey, Ron, going back to the division, you said that it was like pretty bad, but do you see anything in your first 5? Like, what gives you confidence that you guys can realistically compete for the division at, you are 1-5? Are there signs that you've seen through the first 6 games here that can get things turned around?
Well, we've had our moments, and that's probably the biggest thing I can say, because you go back and you look at some of the things that we did, some of the things that we moved the ball at times against certain people, and you feel good about that. Defensively, we had a good game yesterday. We've had some guys step up. So, you just hope that this is what's happening. I mean, I challenge these guys just because of the circumstances in our division. I mean, it's not like anybody's running away with it right now. So we're going to keep seeing what's going to happen each week.
Ben?
Hey, Ron, just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on where Antonio Gibson is right now. After 6 games, he played on a percentage basis among his fewest snaps since week 1. Where is he at for you right now?
Well, I think he's still developing and growing. I mean, again, we're talking a little bit about a position switch for him. He was a wide receiver for the most part at Memphis, who did play some running back stuff. So he's still learning and growing, and you see his potential. You see the abilities that he has, and it's a matter of getting opportunities, with the situations in the game. But I think Antonio is going to be a good player for us. Very good player.
Hey, Ron, it's Chris Russell. Can you go back on the 2-point conversion thing again? You've said a couple of times now the difference between home and road. With no fans in the crowd, can you just kind of explain a little bit more on your thinking on that, and whether – I mean, obviously it didn't change for you with no fans in the crowd, but just your kind of mentality along that line. Because I've heard they'll go for, win on the road, play it more conservatively at home thing.
Right. And that's pretty much the approach that I used, is that we were on the road. Yeah, sure, there wasn't any fans, but to be honest with you, I didn't even think about that. The only thing I was thinking about was this was an opportunity for us to win. You're going to get down at the 2-yard line. You feel good about the play you call. You feel good about the guys that are out on the field. We just scored. We had momentum. We had energy. So I figured that now was the chance to do something and see if we could do it. And unfortunately, it didn't work.
I guess just to clarify, though, so you mean if this situation had happened at FedEx Field, fans or not, you probably would have gone for the tie as opposed to the win, right?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
I'm just,
Thank you.
again, looking at what statistics tell us.